We actually might have something to be excited about for this summer in the gaming industry, and this something goes by the name of Alaloth, Champion of the Four Kingdoms. On Steam, Alaloth is labeled as a skill-driven action RPG inspired by classics such as Baldur's Gate and Pillars of Eternity. Set in a rich fantasy world resembling the darkest period of the Middle Ages, this game offers fast-paced action with a deep narrative. Alaloth is slotted for a summer 2022 release, but we actually have no idea if this is going to be early access or the official release. At first I assumed it would be the official release because the trailer does not say early access, but then I read their recent dev post on Steam which said this. A lot of people are asking about two main things: final release and early access. We can't go into details now, but we can confirm that we will answer both of those questions at the same time in the near future. Now, I changed the English around a little bit for you guys because Gamera Interactive is not a native English-speaking company, but the point is that we really have no idea what to expect for this summer. Maybe it's the official release, maybe it's early access, maybe there is no early access, maybe early access is in a week from now and the official release is in late summer. Whatever ends up happening, I'll be sure to keep you guys updated, but for now, let's jump into what we do know about Alaloth. Chapter markers will be below. So Alaloth is going to be a single and multiplayer game that will offer split-screen couch co-op. Should be coming out for PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo, but if you notice at the end of this recent gameplay trailer it only says Steam and GOG, so that makes me think that maybe we're getting a PC early access and then the official launch will include everyone. I'm not entirely sure, and a lot of the information on this game is actually quite confusing, I have to say. For the multiplayer aspects, Gamera says, Alaloth supports local co-op up to 2 additional players that can join the game while taking control of your companions if unlocked. Remote play is supported and works even if your friends don't own the game. Couch co-op anyone? The only thing you need to do is inviting a friend as you open the game or send them the link to join you. So yeah, it sounds like you can co-op with a party of 3, but it has to be local co-op or remote play. They said nothing about online co-op, so I guess as of now I'm assuming that it does not have it. It also sounds like your friends will have to play as one of the companions that you've unlocked in your game. Like I mentioned earlier, I do not fully understand most of their posts, nor do they clarify things that well. They're clearly targeting English-speaking audiences, so hopefully they can sort that out a bit better well before the official release actually happens. There's no denying that the art style of this game certainly gives off Baldur's Gate and Pillars vibes, so I can see where the inspiration comes from. But the major differences here that should be noted are that Alaloth is an action RPG where you control one champion but can have a few companions that are AI or multiplayer controlled. In the OG Baldur's Gate games and the Pillars games, you control an entire party and they're also real-time with pause, or in Pillars' case, real-time with pause or turn-based. I'm actually really digging the aesthetic of this game. One of the first things that I noticed was, despite the old school look, the animations of characters and creatures are clearly modern day animations. This gives the game a rather uncanny appearance, but I say that in a really positive manner. The studio behind this game is Gamera Interactive, and they're an Italian independent game development company that was founded in 2017. Most of the games that they've created up to this point seem to be smaller platformer arcade type games. Not sure if any of you have heard of these before, but here's the list. When we take a look at Alaloth on their website, they say it's in between old school CRPG and modern action Souls-like. These are two of my personal favorite genres, so this is part of the reason why I've taken an interest in this game. So how will this game actually work though? Well, apparently there's not going to be different difficulty levels to choose from, which is very Souls-like, but there's going to be what they're calling single player mode and a competitive mode. Once again, the lack of clarification makes this really confusing because when you say single player mode, it makes you think that it's a mode where you can't do co-op at all, and perhaps you cannot have any companions. But I think in this case, they're calling it single player mode because in competitive mode, there will be the addition of 3 enemy champions that are roaming around hunting for shards and also hunting for you, the player. In single player mode, this will not be the case. Single player mode is advised for those that don't want to have a timer on their heads, and also for completionists who want to be sure that they're able to complete every quest available on their playthrough. In competitive mode, enemy champions will have their own behaviors, which can be aggressive, balanced, or defensive, and they'll be out attempting to claim dungeons. I'll leave it at that, make of it what you will. The main goal in Alaloth is to set free the continent of Plamen from the evil and overwhelming presence of Alaloth himself, who is a mighty demigod trapped in limbo looking to come back to the mortal realms to rule everyone. To stop this from occurring, you have to recover 4 light shards that will open the gates to the 5th kingdom, which is Alaloth's current domain, or this is limbo, I don't know. I'm assuming that we'll be doing that to ultimately fight Alaloth himself. In this game, you'll be free to roam the world and you can do whatever you want, but of course there will be the main quest of killing Alaloth himself. You can explore, meet NPCs, do side quests, work on claiming fighting areas to look for shards which give you access to the endgame, and more. This will be an ever-changing world with hundreds of interactable characters to talk with, and they're already talking about how the game will be designed for multiple playthroughs, as playing a different mode, race, or even alignment will result in a different experience. Speaking of races, there will be 4 playable races to choose from: humans, elves, dwarves, and orcs, and there will be 40 plus houses and clans that you can fight for. As for classes, they have not explained exactly how it works yet, but it seems like you'll start building into categories that they're calling Way of Arms, Way of Nature, and Way of Gods. Way of Arms is described as pushing a champion's body to the limit, giving them skills to deliver more damage to enemies and help the champion resist the enemy's attack. The champion will use their strength to master lethal fighting techniques that will turn them into a war machine. This relies only on physical strength, avoiding the use of magic. Underneath Way of Arms, we have Warlord, which is likely the DPS type skills, Marksman is probably ranged attacks, and then Guardian is likely the tanky type abilities. The Way of Nature provides long-ranged magic skills that are based on the elements of nature and their inner power. The gods of nature, the creatures of the forest, and the elements will bend the will of the champions, letting them use the nature that surrounds them to afflict their enemies with a multitude of conditions and pain. Under Way of Nature, we have Arcanist, Elementalist, and Warden. Way of Gods is described as providing healing skills and other abilities bound to the gods of Plamen's pantheon. Represent the power of the gods as channeled through their followers. They draw their strength from their respective deity, but do not require that deity's cooperation. Spells of this way do not necessarily reflect the nature of specific deities. Under the Way of the God, we have Cleric, Necromancer, and Templar. Since we're on the topic of building characters, as you play you'll also be leveling up stats and using trait points to acquire special abilities. Here's a screenshot of the stats menu, and we can see strength, constitution, dexterity, and luck. And on the traits tab, we have personality, physical, and survival. Your character sheet will look something like this, and we can see all sorts of stuff from HP to gold to encumbrance, reputation, personal information, resistances, and more. I have no idea if we'll be able to multi-class or how many skills we'll be able to unlock in each tree. We'll have to wait to find out. I will do a more in-depth class video when we get some more information, so stay tuned for that. The Steam page also says 12 memorable companions that will have their own backstories that will be ready to join or fight you in your journey, and it also mentions crafting and a reputation system. This was a screenshot that was taken a while ago, I believe, but you can see kind of what they're doing with some of the crafting elements here. The game is going through a lot of changes, especially over the past year, so I'm not sure if it will still look like this. I briefly mentioned alignment earlier, and alignment will be an important choice that you make when creating your champion, as it will determine what companions you'll be able to join with, which leads to unlocking different quests and of course different outcomes. The combat system is real-time action-based, and they say that the system is designed to allow players to avoid every single incoming attack if they have perfect execution. There will also be ways to use in-game knowledge to make smart plays that can put you in a favorable position that doesn't necessarily rely solely on eye-hand coordination and reflex. So yeah, I'll leave it at that for this video because I'll probably end up doing another video in the near future that goes over everything but clarifies things much better. It's just a little bit hard to understand their dev blog posts, and also just the lack of clarification with the English that wasn't too good. I tried to explain it the best that I could. Hopefully we get some more information soon, because this game does look really cool, and it's also a small indie company from Italy, and we love to support projects like that. And there's also not really much going on this summer, so perhaps Alaloth can give us something to do, us RPG and fantasy medieval lovers. Stay tuned, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.